Yeah, he had one up. No, not a problem. We're looking forward to it.
That
Really
is
looking forward to it.
that is a heavy delay. We're gonna have to be real clean with this conversation. That's like a 3-second delay. Okay, all right, that's all good. All right, boys.
Jeez, you're frozen. You look good, but in the freeze.
Oh, I'm frozen. What? Usually my connection's A
Oh
plus.
no, this is gonna be hectic.
Oh no.
Do you want to just go again?
Yeah,
I'll leave and just jump back in and see how it goes.
yeah. Let's do that.
Probably it's gonna be awful. Oh yeah, but it's gonna be anyway.
Any different?
How are we looking?
We're all good on here. I can see.
It's a little bit better.
Well, we'll do the best we can.
We'll roll with it. We'll
All
roll
right.
with it.
All right, boys. I think we're good to go. If I freeze again, let me know. You know what? If I do freeze again, just cut my video and you guys can
Yeah,
just
100%.
hear me, right?
We will.
Yeah, you don't need to see all this.
Yeah, we can just roll with the audio. That'd probably be better. 'Cause at least not looking at you.
I know writes a lot. The beard, the dreads. What do you do with all this? I don't even know sometimes. All right.
Mate, I'm just loving the Charlotte kid.
Oh! You recognize it? Respect. Yeah, I'm a fan. Big fan of the basketball and NBA. All right, let's see if I can go live and we can make this work.
Is that Hornets? That's Hornets, isn't it?
That's right. Well, they've changed their name over the years. But boys, let's see if we can make this as smooth conversation as possible through these Zoom times. Give us, number one, thank you both for coming on. Number two, give us a rundown of who you guys are, what you guys do, and why you guys are different as well, because I wanna like really demonstrate and illustrate both of y'all's point of difference throughout the facilities you work out and your profession and your service that you guys offer.
Yeah, no problem. So my name's Jordi. I started Perspective Training about 5 years ago out of a commercial gym, and just evolution progressed on throughout the career, as did Perspective Training to what it is today. I'm lucky enough to have Brendan jump on board with me, which I'm very honoured and excited to have, someone with his knowledge and also practical skill level. So myself, I mainly train the athletic population, ranging from youth all the way through to a few masters as well. And that's the really low key version of that. Been lucky enough over the last year and a half to progress into O2 Performance, which is a facility based out of the Sports Hub on the Sunshine Coast. And to me, that's the point of difference. It's an absolutely incredible facility. It's world class in what it is. Without a doubt, I believe it's one of the best facilities in Australia, if not the best. Purely based just off the equipment and also the resources in and around the facility itself is top notch and world class in my eyes. So that'd probably be the biggest point of difference from my point of view, is the ability to be surrounded by such good people, knowledgeable people, and then also to have the equipment and facilities to back that up.
Yeah, Brendan?
Sweet. So I'm Brendan. I've obviously recently joined Jordi up here on the Sunshine Coast. Been around a little bit and transitioned myself up to a bit of a holiday destination, and love it up here. And I've been in the industry 10 years now, with bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and all the qualifications under the sun, and worked with semi-professional sport, running high performance programs, and done strength and conditioning at universities, and started out while I was in my undergrad as a personal trainer at the uni as well. So started from the bottom and worked up to where we are today. And I think we bring a lot of experience, although a lot of it is sport based and high performance based. It's still just development of people, and we have plenty of resources up here that a lot of places don't have, and especially for a regional place within Queensland, it's pretty top notch. Exactly what Jordi said.
Absolutely. I'm looking and I'm putting on the screen for people so they can see, both of y'all's Instagram, and what I'm looking at is really representing what you guys are talking about. This, I don't know, have you guys seen the UFC Performance Institute? Have you guys seen that facility?
In Sydney.
No, the one in Vegas. Not in person necessarily, but just at least on videos.
I've seen a little bit of it when it comes to some of the fight promos and things like that.
Right. To give you clarity, that's what this reminds me of. This reminds me of just a super high level performance facility. How did this all come about? Did you guys have involvement in that? Was that somebody else? How did this incredible O2 Performance Center come about, and how did you guys get involved in that?
Yeah, so it's one of those things where you're just in the right place at the right time. Brendan and I happen to be working with each other at the same place down in Brisbane at an allied health facility when O2 basically was just about to open. And I actually told Brendan I'm going to have a look at this place, and we're both honestly a little bit skeptical at the start because it looks so good and almost too good to be true. And if you've been around the industry long enough, some things like that pop up all the time, and they don't often tend to last, or at least be what they say they could potentially be. So Miguel Rajano is the majority owner and the vision behind the performance facility itself. And he could walk you through the gym and tell you exactly why he picked this particular roof tile, this particular rack, why the dumbbells face this way, airflow, the sun, anything about the facility and anything around it. He will be able to tell you everything to a T. And that's sort of the mentality behind it is, it is, like we've already discussed, probably one of the best ones going around, but it's all inclusive as well. So he's thought about wheelchair athletes, general pop, mums and bubs, all the above. It does still suit your goals or your needs, depending on who the person is. So it's that all-inclusive environment as well, which also ticks a few boxes.
Yeah, it very much has. You walk into the space, and it very much has anything that anyone could possibly want. So, it's not just an athlete gym where you only have, a leg press. It's got leg press, leg extensions, every deadlift machine available. So it caters to everyone. Where we have a GHD, typically an athlete gym might have 3 or 4 GHDs. This is it's only got one, but it's got at least one of absolutely everything you could possibly want. Then alongside of the big blocks of lifting racks and platforms, which are an immense number and plenty of space. And
now, this is a private facility, or it is a commercial gym that's open to the public?
So it's a private facility. However, it is commercially based. So, and it's got a membership based model. There's different trainers of different backgrounds and qualifications and skill levels that work out of there as well. Certain group classes, as well as but in the facility itself, which is the sports hub, it is actually run as a non-for-profit. So it's a community-based facility. And within that is the gym, is physio clinics, is the recovery room, is the cryotherapy place, is a yoga studio, Pilates studio, all the other allied health components of it as well.
It's got an F45 upstairs. Like, it is genuinely everything. And the gym side of it, what you're looking at, is definitely based around that commercial gym space that everyone can use.
Can you guys actually talk about like the business aspect of the sports hub running inside of O2, and then you have Perspective Training like underneath that? What made you guys think to separate them all? I know O2 is obviously not owned by you, but what made you think to separate those two and integrate them together?
I just think at the end of the day, it's the same belief values and outcomes that we're after. So the gym, it's built by great people. It's run by great people. It has a great community and feel about it. And at the end of the day, how I look at the business is it needs to be in a place that represents those values and morals and beliefs. In my mind, I always try to have a high performance mentality and model. And you always want to be the best in whatever way that may be. And it just seemed to fit in that facility, in this environment very well. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Absolutely no-brainer.
I think it's one of those things, especially within, as a private business, you dream of having facilities like this. And what it's done is someone has actually done it for you and is offering you that without the risk of you having to invest in that yourself directly. So it's opened up the opportunity for a business like Perspective to be so much bigger, quicker than what it was actually ever intended to happen that way.
Right.
Yeah, and it does also attract the right people as well. So it attracts the athletic population, it attracts coaches, schools, teams, all the above.
So for you guys, is it a sense of, I don't need to actually open up my own facility, because we have this incredibly made and designed place, although it's not owned by me, although I don't take, the profits home from the big business that it is? Or does that excite you guys and you'd be like, hey, maybe I can do that somewhere else in the world or in another state, or do something else off the back of that? What do you guys think when you experience that?
Yeah, it's always a piece who wants to make all the calls and all the decisions. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things, growing up and working in commercial environments and then in the allied health and then now back to this, you learn the whole way along. You learn what works well and what doesn't work well. And still to this day, I still write notes at home every now and then of things that I think could still be better, things that do really, really well that I would never have thought of. So in the back of my mind, I'm still always thinking one day I want something like this, and just trying to take on all those experiences and all those learnings and teachings and piece that together into hopefully what would be something quite similar, but again, even better.
Right.
And I think with the Sunshine Coast as well, it's a untapped area as it comes to performance. Like within the radius of here to Brisbane, I mean, there's nothing like this. So to sit down and get a head start into an area that is so developing for a business it is exactly what Jordi said. It's a no-brainer, and you're developing relationships with people that clearly know what they're doing and listen to the right people. And like you said, I think it's every coach's dream at one point. You're not going to be the guy who's putting cones out every night. So there is that dream that at one point, you will own your own facility and have a lot more of a stable setup of a home base, if you want to call it that. But they've made it clearly very easy here for that to be this is the starting place for that. So
what did you guys, like, what are those things you are learning through this process, through working through this facility, but also, and just in the last year especially, what has been those main things that you guys have like stuck out to you? Like that's a valuable lesson. Like, I didn't realize that before, those moments.
Yeah.
Where do you start?
Honestly, you could go on, but I think the biggest one, we're lucky enough that in the last year we've had multiple professional teams come through from NRL, AFL, netball, and even high-level schools and things like that. Mate, the biggest thing is communication and being open to saying yes. I know it's a bit of a cliche thing, but, can you come in on a Saturday really quickly and take a guy through the gym and just show him a few things? Yeah, mate, no worries. That bloke turned out to be the high-performance manager for the GWS Giants. Next thing you know, when the GWS Giants come up, you actually already had half a foot in the door with them. So it's just building those relationships and just being open to doing the little 1%ers. That'd probably be the biggest one for me, because the opportunities are just at your feet. You just got to grab them.
And I think it's obviously been a very tough year for the fitness industry, especially through COVID. And I take a little bit more of a personal standpoint where I've gotten to a point where you need to really value who you are and what you are. And I think as an industry, we've skated by on a lot of undervaluing the professionals that we are. So for me, what I've learned is that we need to put that value on ourselves, and we need to make sure that we're doing the best we can within our industry to provide what a professional service actually is and what professionals we actually are. I've gone from that, exactly what Jordi's saying, where at the start you're interning and you're not making any money and you're doing nothing and you're trying to find your own client base and you're stressed out to your eyeballs, and then you go take the next step into, say, allied health, where you're paying 50% commission on something, and that feels like you're getting robbed a little bit. And then it's been stepping stones in your whole career to make sure that you're at the point where you know what you're worth. And I think we have a lot of value to give people to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes that, well, certainly I've made. I'm not going to speak for Jordi. I think it's perfect. But, I don't want people to make those mistakes. And I'd like to mentor people through that process of, it's not just the knowledge. It's not just how good a coach you are or how good a personal trainer you are. It's actually making sure that you're not being taken for a ride and you are getting what's valuable for you. And for me, like I was saying, I've lived in Canberra, I've lived in Sydney, I've lived in Perth, I've lived in Brisbane, and transitioned slowly to the Sunshine Coast, where I live an absolutely gorgeous lifestyle that most people would want to retire with, and I'm financially stable. So I think that's what I really want to pass on to people, that it actually can be a really lucrative and not necessarily financially. You don't necessarily need to be taking $1 million a year, but you can make a lucrative career out of this and live a great lifestyle as well. So
I'd love to dig into that, because I think that is such an important point. One, understanding your value as a coach, and then understanding that, I think the personal trainer and coaches, the profession is, in this country, is looked at not much respect by the general population. People don't really think you can make a living being a coach and trainer. In fact, Joe DeFranco, who I'm sure you guys are familiar with, as him coming up, it's like through the years, he'll talk about and reminisce and reflect that when you tell somebody that you want to become a PT or a coach, they're like, oh, okay, that's like, it's a phase thing. It's like, oh, they're going to do that for a little bit.
Second job. Yeah, well done. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you guys show, and so many people I speak to and we speak to show that, hold on, you can make 6 figures. And then you could do it while revolutionizing and changing people's lives for the better, right? So can you guys speak about, okay, the first point is, how does a coach know their value, especially starting out? How do you figure out your value? Because sometimes, like Amir says, who I've spoken to, you got to eat shit sandwiches at the start, right? How do you know when you got to eat shit sandwiches and just be in the dirt and work for free and do that stuff versus, hey, this is dozens of hours of my time. I need to be valued for this.
You go, Jordi.
No, I think Amir's on the money. When you start out, you don't know your value. Honestly, you don't. And you have to find your value. And the only way to find your value is to learn, and without being, again, cliche, but do a bit of time in the trenches, build your knowledge set, take it down after a period of time to what you think your niche could potentially be, and the populations you enjoy working with. I think that's where being a personal trainer in a commercial setting is so valuable, is the fact that you get to work with mums, youth athletes, elderly population, sometimes special needs, NDIS clients and things like that. And all of a sudden, after 6 months, you go, wow, I really do enjoy working with the elderly population. I seem to communicate with them really well. I've learned how, what makes them tick. That's the route I really want to go down. And then all of a sudden, you start to get a few of those clients on your books, and you start to, all of a sudden, there's your value. I really enjoy working with these people. They enjoy working with me. And then the money's the exchange that happens in the middle. And again, when you get more experience, you get better qualifications, and you can transfer that into your practice, that's when your value will naturally increase as well. I think, to say what your value is off the bat, and I think that's where sometimes the uni system can be a little bit backwards, because you come out and you think, this is exactly what I'm worth. Mate, sometimes you need to take that step back and just go, I need to do a little bit of hard yards first.
I think
to build, my value.
Yeah, and I think your value is off your client base. So, in the nicest way, if you're terrible with people and you have terrible clients, you're going to be on terrible money. If you can surround yourself with clientele that see value in you, they'll pay for that. And then ultimately, as well as you build that client base, you have to then put the value on your time with that client base you have. So at the start, when you don't have clients and you're running 10 sessions a week, you have to run those 10 sessions a week when they want to run the 10 sessions a week. When you're running 40 sessions a week, you then get to start to pick and choose when those sessions are, and you actually can afford to start to tell people, hey, I can't do that at that time. I'm already flat chat. And you get to pick the clients that are good value, that are going to stick with you for long periods of time and make it more stable. And I think that's a very business mindset to it, is that you're dictated to off how your clientele value you. And on the flip side of that, if you want to take it to a personal standpoint, is you need to have those values yourself. So if you want good clientele, you need to be a good person. I think it's irrelevant. I've had uni students come out into prac hours, or first year or second year uni students, and they're terrible with people and they know everything. So you can't say that the value is put on how much their HEC stat was, or how much education they have, or how knowledgeable they are, or how well they can apply it. Because I've seen guys also that can apply everything in the perfect scenario, but they're still not good with people. And they can't explain things to people. They don't get people, and they don't actually understand this is a people business. So I think you need to be the example of the person that you want to be working with you. You need to be that to start with, and you'll start to attract those people to you, and be that other coaches that can support you. And, there's plenty of times where, I've got connections, and Jordi's a good person, so I help Jordi and pass on a connection to Jordi. And Jordi knows that, actually this client's come to me, and he might not work well with Jordi, so Jordi goes, he'll be really good for Brendan. And that had nothing to do with how much I knew, or that had nothing to do with how many leads I generated, or any of that. It actually had to do with how good a person you are, how your values, and how you treat people. So I think your value lies in whatever you withhold as a person, not so much what you have as your resume.
I think that's both of you really great advice, and consistently this is what I keep hearing, like communication, understanding human behavior, understanding how to communicate to a wide variety of people. And I want to go a bit further on that. You talk about values. As you guys know, we certify students to become, or we deliver a Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. And you guys are going to be working with us very soon, which we're excited about. But oftentimes, people are quite young. Teenagers, early 20s, right? They don't even understand their values, right? And we dig into this when I teach the classes, I dig into this and we figure out their whys and we try and build and understand these values. But for a lot of people out there, even beyond coaching and health, they don't understand their values. How did you guys learn what your values were? And how would you guys recommend people understand their own values?
Straight up, I just made mistakes. And I just made mistakes, and I learned that, unfortunately, I wasn't surrounded by a huge plethora of mentors. And when I went through, we didn't have social media like we do with the Lockie Wilmots and the Carls, and we didn't have these guys that were genuinely leading the industry, and that we've really had no one to go to. So when we talk about where you find your values, I found my values off mistakes. I found value off, either way, the way a client treated me or the way I treated a client. And I had to constantly apply something and evaluate and apply it and evaluate. And I made a lot of mistakes. And obviously none of them so bad that, I'm in jail or bankrupt, but to the point where, you actually start to figure out the sort of person you want to be and the sort of coach you want to be and just the sort of person you want to be. And I also grew up, I'm happy to say it, that I was from a relatively a very, very loving family, and my parents gave me values to live by to start with, which always really helped. So when I look at that as a coach, I almost want to be that parent figure to people that I mentor and that person that they can come to if they're having issues coaching or personal life or anything, because I had a balance where I had a sporting career where I had people who I could go to and I could talk to, and I think that's what makes you figure out what you value and how you value other people.
Okay.
And like Brendan said, it's experiences, all the good experiences, all the bad ones, and everything in between. That helps create your overall, I suppose, value model and what you see as important, whether that may be family, friends, time, work. Everyone values different things, and I think your values also change periodically as well. At times you may value work a little bit more over family because you have to, and then vice versa. So that's my little take on the values.
Yeah, and I think you just got to be open. Yeah. So I think people who aren't willing to receive feedback, people who aren't willing to offer feedback, I think you need to be willing to give and take in this industry, and you're not always going to be right. But also being wrong is not necessarily a bad thing either. It's just an opportunity to learn.
Absolutely. With the values within your coaching, within your business, what are both of yours pillars, main value pillars that are your big rocks, your foundational pillar values that you deploy in your coaching service?
Yeah, it's just a high performance mindset and mentality. So everything that you do, whatever it may be, whether it's you're doing your movement prep, your warm-ups, your main lift, your boring resilience work, it's just done really well, and it's done with the mindset of that it's I'm doing this for the right reasons and I'm doing it to get better. And that's the same when I try to coach. I don't try to muck around and look this way and look that way, and I'm focusing on that person or that group of people at the same time, trying to provide as much value as possible that they can get out of that session or sessions. At the end of the day, I'd like someone to walk around after 6 weeks and say, mate, I've actually learned way too much from you. I don't need you anymore.
Yes.
Then be with me for 6 years. And go away for a week and they go, fuck, I forget how to train. I need you to be here. That's not really what it's about. Creating really good autonomous humans that can make decisions for themselves is really important to me.
It's really antithetical to business, because you want to make yourself redundant, right?
Yeah.
Make your clients autonomous enough to be able to. If I disappear, you got this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But paradoxically, sometimes it works the other way, where because that service is at such a high level, and because you deliver that type of like detached service where, you know what, it's okay, like I don't want you to be reliant on me, they often stay with you for longer.
Yeah, and it's also that willingness to pass on. So I think that a lot of people in the fitness industry just have, and especially we've seen it in allied health, like just too big an ego. Like if you can't do it, find someone who can. So if you've got a guy who's just persistently with a sore knee and you can't fix it as a practitioner and you've tried with your set of skills, pass the buck. Send them to a physio, send them somewhere else, refer them on, because you're exactly right. It's that relationship building that you have will get them back, and it'll get more back in return than what you give. Yeah. I think it's a big one.
Having the client or the athlete as the center point, not you as the coach or
no single
trainer.
Person knows everything.
No. And
I think that's the second that you become a coach or a personal trainer that pretends like the guy next to you is doing any different to what you are, as an actual skill, I think is wrong. I think what you deliver individually as a person is what's going to be the big point of difference as a coach. I mean, there's so many resources out there. The university's going exercise science to the ringer. So I think you need to make the point of difference, not that you're actually better at the coach, the one-on-one, the X's and O's of coaching, that you're actually just a better person as a coach is what's going to deliver the difference.
Have you guys had those moments where, and I'm sure you have, I'd love to hear them, where you've had that ego challenge moment where you've tried to solve the problem, and you probably probably pushed it a bit too far, and you probably should have referred out earlier, or seeked external assistance, but you tried to just keep pushing it because you wanted to be the guy that could solve the problem? Have you guys experienced that?
Absolutely.
Jordi knows everything.
If you could seriously look at someone and say you've never done that as a coach, then you'd be definitely lying in the face. I mean, even quite recently, I got a bunch of footy boys that were in NRL teams, and during COVID they got dropped as the squads got dropped, and now they're back on the coast. And he didn't want to see, so he pulled up. They've been working very hard over the last 8 weeks. Their lows have been quite high, and he pulled up quite sore the other week doing some speed work, and it was just a little hammy tweak. And I said, mate, you need to go see a physio. And he goes, oh, look, I've been to physios, and then again, casting the blanket. I don't want to see a physio. Let me know what it is. I'm not a physio and I don't diagnose. We've done a few tests, which we all know, which is important to know things, but also not diagnose. And I said, we come up with a game plan, and our game plan didn't work. He should have went and see a physio at that point in time. We got him into a physio yesterday, and he's got a little grade 1 niggle. That could have been prevented by also me saying, mate, you actually need to go to see a physio, and not saying, look, let's go about it this way. And that's in the last month. So there's plenty of things. I'm sure we could all point things like that.
I think where I learned the most was on the opposite end. Especially through an allied health eye, where I've seen people with physios twice a week and not see any change, and know that you're the guy that actually could have made a bigger difference in their development as a person. And then you sit back and you, as a person, I sit back and evaluate that. And I see that, hey, that person kept on to try and get an extra $1 out of a client, and didn't actually help that person grow. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the guy who's just sucking $1 off someone if I'm not making them better. And that was the big turning moment for me, was when I sat back on the outside and realized, hey, if I'm not making a positive change in someone, I still need to be the person that can get that, even if it's from someone else.
Absolutely.
And it's a bit of a maturity thing. So for me, it came when I realized I couldn't do everything.
It's that pillow. It's that tough pill, but also it's a humble pill to swallow. And I appreciate you both sharing that.
Man. I love it. I do less work.
Right.
Less I have to worry about. And I think as well, once you surround yourself with some resources of people, even if you're the ones passing on the message, you can get the advice from other people. especially working in high performance sport running programs like that. I'm not a physio. I have physios that work for me. That doesn't mean I'm a physio. That means when there's issues, I get their professional advice and we have an educated discussion about it to come up with the best resource. Now, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily the one delivering it, or I might be, but it definitely comes with that maturity of, I don't know everything. And I think when you get to about 4 or 5 years into your career and you've done 12 professional development courses in a bit of everything, you realize, hey, if I want to be the best at everything, it's going to take me 100 years and I'm going to be broke. So you do pick what you really enjoy doing, and then you find other people around you that complement that. And that, delivers a really good service.
Yeah. And there's no shame in being wrong either.
No way.
I think when you are early on in the industry, you always want to, sometimes it's the other way around. You just want to help so much that you're willing to be wrong to help as well, where you can just say, look, mate, I actually don't know. Let's go somewhere else that will be able to help you, find the answer.
Yeah, and back on the way you coach it, the big things I look at are trust and honest feedback, and I think they work hand in hand together. Where if you've got trust between you and a client, however you say something or however they ask you questions, if someone asks me something and I say I don't know, I'm going to find someone else who does and I'm going to help that out. That builds trust between you and the client. That builds trust between you and someone else that you're not going to do that. And then once you've built trust with people, you can deliver honest feedback. I think it's really hard when people get delivered feedback and they take it personally. It's usually because they don't have any relationship with you and they don't have any trust with you that feedback's coming from the right place. So I think they're the two things that, as you matured as a coach, I found that I've surrounded myself with people that I really trust, clients and mentors or coaches or other people, colleagues. And then that meant we could have honest feedback conversations, either delivering or receiving. And it got the best out of me as a person, and it got the best for my clients.
How do you develop that trust, especially as an early coach and trainer, which a lot of those people are listening right now? How do you guys develop trust with your clients and even just other human beings in an effective way?
That's exactly what you just said, man. It's just treating them like they're a human being. They're not a client, and you send someone to go warm up on a treadmill and you leave them there for 5 minutes and then you walk up to them and start your session. You've missed 5 minutes of an opportunity to build a relationship with someone. Now, it's that balance between, you're not just there to be a professional relationship. You're actually, a lot of the time as a personal trainer, there to build a relationship with someone that is a little bit more than that. And I've heard some stories from people that they probably shouldn't have told me because I'm not a psychologist, but you end up being that ear that they want to lean on. And it's literally just like any relationship you have. It's like if we sit down with, if my mum tells me that I'm being an idiot in nice ways, I'm not going to turn around and bite back at my mum and be like, no, I'm not. Like, if my mum says that to me, we've got a relationship over time that's developed that she can give me that feedback and I go, hey, actually, she might have a point here. I'm going to have to evaluate that. It is just a time thing, but it's also spending every bit of time you can. When I was doing allied health, I would never book for more than 45 minutes with the client, but that meant I had half an hour either side that they're there early, which means that I can spend 15 minutes with them early that they're not, being booked for. And at the end, when they're cooling down, that we can actually, that's the time to shoot some shit and build a relationship with them. And then in that 45-minute session, we're actually just hitting what we need to hit. And to me, that was just that, building that relationship with that client, sending them a message the next day saying, hey, hope you pulled up okay, let me know if there's any issues. Sending them a message on the Sunday, hey, we've got a session on Tuesday, let me know if there's anything in particular you want to work on. It just means that there's always those touch points, which, as a normal person, you feel like you're cared for, and, you should be, as you should be.
Yeah, and trust is developed over time as well. Like, you're going to meet someone on day one and expect for them, when you say jump, they just jump. Over a period of time, through doing good actions and I suppose them being exposed to your values, which we touched on before, they will then develop trust back into you. So then it's that two-way street where you can rely on them just as much as they can rely on you. And that's very important in a service-based industry as well.
When you guys talk about maturity, because there's a lot of aspects here that always trying to bring back to the coach and trainer, right? When you guys talk about trust, it's like that's super valuable because a lot of people don't know how to build it. And when we talk about maturity, what are those early lessons that you guys learnt through the maturation process of being a coach that you would tell the young new coaches coming through? Essentially, when you guys do the intakes and take our and your future students, what is the day one like? If I could tell them these lessons, what would they be that you wish you knew?
My one would, like, especially with with clients, and we're talking about people that you're going to be relatively new to the industry, and you're probably not going to have a huge base to stand on when you're telling people what to do and how to do it. So it's if you turn up like you're entitled to that, people are going to dismiss you real quick. It comes across with a lot of arrogance and what seemed like arrogance, and it might just be confidence, but it comes across as arrogance. And I think the early stage of being a personal trainer is the best thing you can do is just try to get to know people and the person, because that's how you'll get to know the best out, like where they want to go and what they actually want. So for me, it's always just that almost that recon. Every time you're having a conversation with them, you're trying to pick up little bits of that conversation and ask a lot of questions. And it's not about you as a trainer. When I was going through as a personal trainer, all I wanted to do was just have the biggest arms in the gym. So everyone would come up to me and be like, "Man, he's a good trainer." Well, that was irrelevant. No one cared about how big my arms were or how good I looked. No one cared at all. It is actually just that, asking questions and understanding other people first, and giving everyone the same opportunity that comes through that door as a client.
Yeah. Day one for me, it's about being a professional as well. I think, like we sort of mentioned very early on, is that people sometimes do laugh or smicker or have negative views on the fact that you are a trainer or a coach, because you can wear joggers and shorts, or if you're a girl, wear tights and crop tops and whatever it may be. But you are a professional. You're in an industry that it's real. So number one, be a professional. Basic things: turn up on time. Don't have a coffee in your hand when you're coaching someone. Little things like that. Those little mannerisms people pick up on pretty quickly, and that will help you gain the respect and trust of the clients a lot quicker. But also number two is just be a person. Share some stories from yourself. People will always remember the stories you told them, not the undulating program that you gave them that they gained X amount of strength in. They'll more care about the conversations that you had and the lessons that you've passed on or they passed on to you. And
not your gym stories either. No one cares about your gym stories.
Yeah, genuine stories, that they can relate, so that again you're a relatable person. You're not in a position of authority and power. It is, you're there together.
What mistakes did you guys make early on?
All those ones I just mentioned. I agree with Jordi on that. Like, we did a bit of it all, mate. Like I certainly walked through the gym like when I knew nothing and thought I knew everything. And I think it was a really tough early stage when I was early in my undergraduate degree when I started personal training, and I learned some really hard lessons on that. I thought I should have been more an hour, and I was too busy thinking about myself, thinking that you should be booked more than you are, and where are all these clients supposed to come from, and not actually having a good look at who actually impacts that. And the person that has the biggest impact on that was me as an individual. And no one cares what you look like. No one's judging you. I mean, you walk into a gym, more people are thinking about what you're thinking about them to think anything about you.
Right.
So I think that was one of the big ones is, check that ego at the door, and realize that you're actually there for other people. You're not there for yourself. And genuinely, if you're coming into the industry and you want to be a millionaire coach that is to the stars, and I think you probably need to check the industry that you're in, because that we are run on good people, and if you want to be one of those people that comes into the industry and in 6 months is off doing an electrical apprenticeship, not saying that's the right or wrong thing to do, but if you want to be someone that actually lasts in the industry, you really need to check that you're actually in it for other people, you're not in it for yourself, because you'll be awfully disappointed if you're here for yourself.
Right. That's
everything Brendan said. And then the quicker you can find people that mentors, people that have the same values as you, and that could be a totally different profession too. It doesn't have to be in coaching.
Yeah.
It could be, a real estate agent, because at the end of the day, they're in a service-based business as well. They have to deal with people, but people that you can just, I had this issue. What would you do in this circumstance? And all of a sudden, you're starting to critically think a little bit more and understand potentially why you do certain actions or have certain reactions to certain situations, and just think a little bit more critically about yourself in general. And that makes a massive difference when you can reflect on certain behaviors or actions as well.
Yeah, I think one of the other big mistakes I made when I was early on was it was all about the gym, and it was all about training, and it was all about performance, and it was so. I think when I started to really make headway, when I left the gym, it wasn't about the gym anymore. The friends I had, what we talked about, what people talked to me about. If someone said, "Hey, how's training going?" I'd be like, let's talk about something else. Like, it's not the be all and end all. And I think if you're someone who is really internalized about training, and that's your life and that's everything it's about, when you have clients, that's what you push onto them. And a lot of clients you're going to get aren't the people that want to be in the gym 12 hours a week. Like, some of these people are just trying to tick the box on their health and fitness, or just want to get through a rehab program, or they just want to, even if it is a bodybuilding comp, that if they want to go through that stage of their training, it isn't their life, and there is more to it. I think once I started to realize that there was more to life than just training and eating and sleeping and making money around that, and started to become a much more whole-round person that could have conversations with different people about anything. Like, if you have a real estate agent client, or if you have a lawyer client, have something to talk to them about. Like, if you can't, then I think same thing. You need to have that demographic where you can talk to anyone about anything, and it's not related to you. So
because you're a well-rounded, good human being, right? Who has
correct.
skills beyond your actual profession.
We keep ending up there, don't we? So,
right. It's funny that.
It is funny that. But all the successful people I know and all the role models that I look up to, ultimately, the best thing I could do is I just want to have a beer with them all and not even talk about strength and conditioning once. Like, they're the people I look up to, and they are genuinely great coaches, great PTs, great business people. So, and I don't talk to them about any of that, funnily enough. So, I don't know. I think you've hit the nail on the head there.
Who are the mentors for you guys? I know you guys did some work with Athletes Authority. Is that one of the big ones? I know Lockie Wilmot. I heard Paul Meldrum describe Lockie Wilmot in that way. What he realized is that Lockie realized he needed to have skills beyond just training. He needed to develop other hobbies. Is that something you learned through them? And what was your experience with AA?
Yeah, so I'll do a little quick story, because I think it always, when you pay homage to people, it needs a bit more context to it. So a few years ago, I went down to Sydney with one of my mates who was working at Lift at the time, Lift Performance. It's now not there as of early this year, unfortunately. But he introduced me to a guy called Dan O'Neill, and he actually did a little bit of work with Woody way back in the day. And Woody sort of put him on the path that he was, in athlete performance and athlete development. And he exposed me to that sort of training and that sort of methodology. And so when I come home, I was like, well, I really enjoyed that. Then all of a sudden, hey, Dan, who do you get all your info from? Oh, these guys, blah, 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 blah. You start going down that little rabbit hole. And next thing you know, you've developed a really great community of coaches and people you can reach out and ask questions. Then the next time I went down to Sydney, do you know Luke Edgell from Edge Performance? So went and had a coffee with him, an absolute legend. We had a coffee and lunch and just shot the shit. Graham Morris, went and watched a field session with him and then had 3 beers. Who else? Jonathan Bailey, also from Lyft. So just these guys, and Nicola from Nicola Morris when she was at University of Sydney as well. So these guys and girls, that they don't have to say yes to be open to have a chat to them, but they are. And they're the people, again, the right people for the industry who put you on the track and the trail that you eventually go down. And then, later on down the track, definitely AA massively. Done their emerging strength coach system, done their business mentorship with Carl as well, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah. So I was lucky. I was playing semi-professional football before I got really into strength and conditioning, and I had an early mentor who was an ex-strength and conditioning coach at the Chargers in America back in the day, and he was probably the first guy that really got me. Firstly, he really got me passionate about strength and conditioning and exercise, and the big one was the days that we would. Firstly, he was an elderly gentleman, so and when I say that, I was 18 and he was probably 48, so that's ancient in that time.
Right.
So, but he was a very good man, and we did a lot of shit. We did a lot of shit together where we did nothing but talk shit. Like we just ragged on each other and had a good time and watched the Super Bowl together and that sort of business. And that was the first time that I really went, oh wait, this is not all about training. Like actually about the relationships you connect. So. I met Lockie through the AFL system, and so I've known Lockie a little bit before Athletes Authority, and back when he was starting up at the Giants, and they, with him and Joycey there, they showed that it wasn't, everything is not just this closed book that the professionals are doing something different to everyone else, and they were the first people in the industry to really show me that it's just such an open industry that we should actually be helping each other. We shouldn't be butting heads against each other, trying to pretend like we have the formula that's going to beat everyone better than someone else. Like that was the first time I really openly turned around and went, okay, it's more than just the X's and O's. Like we said, I've got the knowledge and I've got the skills. It's actually now about being just, the person that they want to have that relationship with. So that's when I sort of met Lockie, and I've done all my strength conditioning quals, and we did our level 3 together, me and Lockie, and while he was at Parramatta. And I then did my masters, masters SSC, where I've met some lifelong friends through Elliot Taylor and Sean Baker, and these are all blokes that if I needed a bed, they'd be the first people I'd call, and that had nothing to do with strength and conditioning. And that, yes, that's the common thing that brought us together. But ultimately, like we're saying, they're just good people that, I'd be happy to, happily bring along to a Sunday dinner with mum and introduce them and have a good time. And, when someone breaks up with a missus, give them a call and make sure they're okay, and go out and have a few beers together. And so they're the kind of people that I went through and just made mates with. And then obviously, the Brett Bartholomew's, when you've seen his presentations and things like that, and especially when you've seen him in person, he's an incredible bloke that has time for everyone. And he really opened it up to me that it was so much more about people than it was. So much more about people and the business of people than it was actually the X's and O's of coaching. And so they were the kind of mentors that I had. And the people that I've looked up to in time. Right now, as a career goes, I've some of my closest friends that are strength and conditioning coaches and people in the industry that really humble me. Simone Freeman at the Giants, and funnily enough, two of the women in strength, two of the biggest women in strength and conditioning, with Sophia Nymphius as well from the Edith Cowan University. They're the ones that humbled me the most and made me just recheck that, it's not just strength and conditioning, it's about being a good person. And I actually can't remember the last conversation I had with Simone that was about strength and conditioning.
I'm trying to think, like, all right, when you have world-class, like, elite professionals, like, okay, what's the commonality? Okay, what's the commonality that transcends them all? And what I'm hearing is that their priority and importance of over the sets and reps, like sets and reps is like lower on the totem pole than human behavior, communication.
Yeah. I think as you mature as a coach, that's where it sits.
Yeah, but earlier
early
on,
on,
it's the other way.
Yeah, and early on, it has to be the other way because it becomes autonomous.
Yeah.
So when you look at the top strength and conditioning coaches, a lot of those X's and O's and a lot of the tactical side of strength and conditioning and the way that you apply it has to become autonomous before you can prioritize the relationships. That's not to say that it's not always something you should be working on, but I tell you right now, if I walked into Bunnings and I had a first day on the job at Bunnings, I would not care about my relationship with clientele when I walked in that door.
You need to understand all the products.
I want to know what my job is. Yeah, I want to be good at that. And then once you're good at that, you can then start to concentrate on the really important things. I think the relationship building is and the personal side of strength and conditioning and personal training, I think it is the most important, but you need to have the skill set autonomously going in the background to support it. Otherwise, you will run out of clients pretty quick.
I think sometimes we forget what it's like to be back.
Back
then as well. We sort of touched on this before we even jumped on. We were having a quick chat. Like going back then, all I cared about was the X's and O's because I didn't know them. So you do need that learnt knowledge and then to be able to apply it. And then, like we said now, the X's and O's is we could talk about it all day, but that's not what, gets us excited or makes us get a new client or a new athlete. It is the relationships that we build with other people, with other coaches, other professionals as well. So
it does get better as well. Yeah, that first 6 months to a year that we see a lot of people come into the industry and then drop out really quickly and that do find it really hard, don't realize it does get easier. And the whole side of strength and conditioning and personal training and the coaching in general, it's like anything. It is going to start off tough. You need to make it a routine and you need to become very proficient at it to then make it much easier for you.
But that's any skill. If I learn the piano, I'm going to suck at it for like 6 months to a year of just playing scales and just like messing up. It's like anything.
Absolutely. And that's exactly it, mate. Like you've got to mess up. Mate, the amount of times I've got a hard drive, Google Drive, and it goes back to about 2008 or something, of gym programs I used to do that I wrote myself. Like things I got off bodybuilding.com and like mash things together. And they're awful, like just awful. But it was very important that I went through that stage. It was very important that I did that for myself. And for me, I was my own biggest test. I tried out all these programs and found what worked and what didn't. I've done every powerlifting program on the planet, and I can tell you what I liked better more than others. And I think if someone asks me for a good powerlifting program, I can tell them what ones not to do, 100%. But I learned from that. That's exactly that trial and error, that making mistakes, that making yourself experience things to then have a knowledge base to draw from. But yeah, I look back at some of my programs and I was horrendous.
But you were consistent. 12 years. That's 12 years.
That was 12 years of,
consistent training.
There was a lot of bicep curls back then. I can tell you what.
Well, they're filling out the shirt right now, so they worked.
It's a small shirt.
That's the trick.
That's it. Sit next to Jordi as well.
It's all perspective.
Color, Alex. You feel it.
Is that why you call it a perspective? Because you get that different perspective?
That's correct. That's
all just a mirage. To finish off and round out this conversation, is there anything else you guys see, like, with the commonalities between these elite professionals? Like we see the touch on psychology. Is there anything else you guys see?
Personally, I always see that there's a strive to improve something within their career or their industry, or so I think even doing a Cert 3 and 4, you should still have bigger goals than just doing a Cert 3 and 4, and you should have bigger goals than just being a manager of a gym somewhere, and you should always be striving for more. And I mean, let's take Brett Bartholomew for an instance where he is an elite coach. But I can tell you right now, he is still probably not even close to his major goals that he's got in his business life, in his career life, in his family life. So I think it's, I think when you get people doing those early education courses, they think that's the be all and end all and that's going to be it that makes you. And it's just not. And I mean, on a personal standpoint, that's why Jordi and I have gotten together. Is this is just the next stage in my career, which is outside of that coaching and being the X's and O's guy. I want to contribute something more to the industry and bring professionals into the industry where I walk into the gym and don't look at what someone's doing and go, oh, I don't know. Like, you know, I think that's where I feel my next imprint on the industry is. And be it might be 5 coaches that I end up helping to be better coaches than they are now. And that it'll all just, you know, dribble down. But for me, it's always having those extra goals in either personal life or career life or that makes those guys really good because they're never there. I mean, you ask those guys, I reckon if you ask Lockie Wilmot, are you close to where you want to be? I'd tell you he'd be closer than he was when he did his Cert 3, but he's certainly not he's not there yet. You know,
because it always levels up. You always want to just more and more if you're that type of person.
Yeah, and I think you have to be a little bit ambitious in this career. I think you have to be a bit ambitious and you have to want more for yourself, for your clients, for everyone around you. Otherwise, you'll get stale and you'll just want to move on.
It's that growth mindset where you can smell the roses when they're there, and you're very excited when you finish something. But once I finish something, what's the next thing that's going to help me achieve or help the person achieve what they're trying to do? And it's continuous thing. You know, Cert 3 and 4 for me, it was the starting point. It was awesome. It was great. It was a great little learning point, and it helped me go, I quite enjoy this. I'm going to make a career out of this. Which then you go into a gym and you start out and you learn the hard way. So hopefully by us teaming up together is we can start to eliminate some of those hard steps and a lot of those mistakes that we learn, and just help these young coaches and young professionals achieve their goals and aspirations in this industry, or at least set them on the right path. Because I think there's nothing worse than someone says, where you want to be in 5 years. Fuck, if you told me COVID was going to happen 6 months ago, you're off your head. There's not a chance that we know where we're going to be in 5 years.
Yeah. The whole idea of setting like 5-10 year goals, I based off just that in of itself, what you just said, I think really challenges the idea of only having like long-term goals.
Right.
Yeah, and the goals, we always have some sort of goal, that golden carrot that's at the end of the tunnel that we're always trying to get. But those little wins and little steps along the way that add up far greater than that end goal. And hopefully we can just, make some of those little steps a little bit bigger for the students that are coming through.
And I think as well when I went through, like we always go off these shared experiences that we've had, is I probably didn't have sort of a mentor system and a coaching network that when I hit those little goals, but I actually got a little bit of praise for it. It was really hard early on for me when I had to, if I hit a little goal in those steps, it was me that had to celebrate that myself, where I'd like to give that support to people to go, you know what, like, dude, just chill out. You've hit a goal. Like, you're doing really well. This is a big step in your career, and it is, it's worth a reward than it is. And I want to be in that support network of people that, ultimately can reach more people than what I can individually. So,
and you guys absolutely will be very soon once we you start hosting our intakes, which is, and it's kind of like just natural. We naturally ended up here. It's kind of where I wanted to finish the conversation. Let's be honest for a second, and because there's a lot of companies and businesses that offer Cert 3s and 4s, right? There's a lot of options for students to pick, just like a car dealership, right? There's all these different car dealerships and cars. What resonated with you guys about us that out of all the ones that you could have chose?
We had a conversation about it early on, and we always go back, who in our networks offers these sort of these upskilling and this, I suppose, latitude component to their business. We've got the Woodfords, Peak, and AA. They're the 3 that come to mind straight away. Anymore.
They're the ones that I like. Again, they're the influential ones in my career that I've had, be it through friendships and through career, like my career path.
Which are all partners of us.
Correct. And that's for us was the big draw.
Yeah. If these companies and these people that we trust and we know and do offer a great job and a great service, if they're going to use these particular guys, why wouldn't we use them? And we reached out, and it just happened to be that it worked out really well, and we're pumped to deliver it. But yeah, for us, it's another lateral component to our development as coaches, and also our development as a business as well, where not a lot of people can say, hey, we actually offer a Cert 3 and 4 on top of our athlete coaching services, on top of online coaching services and all these other things. And to us, it just draws a more holistic business model, a more consistent revenue stream for us as well, for you guys. It encompasses a lot of things that we're about and where we're trying to go and grow.
Yeah. And I think we're at a point where we want to start to give back to the industry. And I see this as a great opportunity where we can start to offer our shared experiences that we've had, right or wrong, and we can share that with other people so that they can make practitioners that are going to be successful in this industry. And that's, to me, was the big draw card. It was just starting to give back and starting to share those knowledges and those experiences that my mentors gave me. And like they said, we've got mates that this is not Athletes Authority and Peak and Woodford, that and those sort of guys. This is not their first day with you guys, so it's I think the honeymoon period's over, where they speak some really great things about your company and the delivery of the Cert 3 and 4, to the point where as well that they can really impact the students with their coaching mentalities and values, and which I think is really important. I've been part of a education system where you're really structured and this is all you can do, and essentially have no personality input onto that. You just got to tick the rubric box, and unfortunately, it's not how our industry is. It's not just a tick the box and you're there. Like, it's actually giving them an opportunity to understand what it's probably going to take and what the steps are and who they can talk to. And like we said, I just think that's an opportunity for me as an individual. I really want to give back. So I think it's a great place to start.
Well, you guys will be providing that very soon. It's a number of things. It's like, okay, and this is there's a lesson here. It's like, okay, if you want to work with other people, other businesses, you want to venture out and do something different. All right, success leaves clues. Who are the people that who are they learning off, or who are they partnering with? Okay, so that's number one. But then it's like you say, giving back. Well, what better way to fundamentally change an industry for the better than to get at the root of it, which is the coach, beginning in their career, giving them the theoretical foundation and letting them blossom and flower like that tree behind you. Every student that you guys influence will influence dozens to hundreds to thousands of people, and that's one person. Think about over hundreds of people that we and you can teach and facilitate. You can impact potentially hundreds of thousands to millions of lives off just that.
Yeah, which is more than we could ever reach individually.
Yeah, exactly. And or with coaching clients and athletes, it's usually in a one-to-one or a one-to-small environment where you have a group of coaches that you can develop, and then they go and develop other clients and athletes, and all of a sudden it's that trickle-on effect of positivity and good things happening in the industry. Because it's easy to sit back and bash it and say, people are doing this wrong, they're not doing that wrong. Well, if you don't put your hand up and say, hey, well,
be the change.
We're here for a bit of change, and we're happy to contribute in some way.
You can't complain, can you?
Exactly.
Unless you're doing that.
So
I think that's exactly right. There's so many people that really want to rag our industry, and people within the industry have so many problems. Well, unless you're going to come with some solutions, I think you need to sit down and reevaluate where you're at, because I think that's where we're at as well. We really want to start to make some change and bring in some professionals that really are going to impact this industry. In all honesty, I think with even some of the some of the things that we think are wrong with our industry, it may not be fixed in the next 10 years that I'm in this career. And so why not be part of that stepping stone for the people in 10 years to have actually changed and made a massive impact? And I certainly know that there's a lot of Cert 3 and 4 courses out there, especially the quick ones and the ones that are just completely online and don't give you the professional coaches that Orphic do to really learn off, which I think is invaluable. It's invaluable. If someone's had put coaches like this on a platter at the start of my career, I'd be much more, I'd be owning this facility. You know what I mean?
Right. That's
thing. Exactly.
Who could you have become?
Correct.
So who could these students become if they get that mentorship from day one?
Yeah. And I want to work in their facility. So letting they do it for me, like, it would be good.
Yeah. But and the great part about the facility that we're in and the environment that we can expose them to is this is pretty much as good as it can get.
Yeah.
As owning a facility and the environment you're going to be exposed to. So, why not be, in that environment from day one? Have a look around, these are the people and the experiences you're going to hopefully be exposed to one day later on in life. So,
and as a coach as well, I think with the facility that we have here, you'll start to realize that if you're working anything less than this, you should be asking more from the people that manage those gyms, and you should be giving yourself as a coach the best opportunity to give your clients the best. So I think it will put a big footprint in the start of people's career to really set a standard for what it should be like.
Well said. I think that's a great place to close this conversation. It's great to talk to you guys and get a feel for and I think it's probably vice versa too, to get a feel for the energy and the intentions and the faces behind the names. And it's because it's always it's like a kind of a subconscious but vetting process that we do. It's let's talk to these guys on our podcast. Let's see who they are and their values. And honestly, guys, it's really exciting, and I'm really excited to work with you guys. It's going to be just the values that you guys hold, the standard for excellence, the growth mindset, and the beyond just being good coaches, but being good people. Those are things that really resonate with us and have us looking forward to working with you guys.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd get on one of these webinars.
You made it.
Hey, I've been watching it on Facebook live stream on the TV. I'm there now.
You're there, you guys.
It's awesome, mate.
Yeah.
We're very excited.
Yeah, honestly, like I said, we're excited to expand the business in that direction, and then also to be able to help these students come through and provide them with that mentorship opportunity through quality education provided by you guys. And then for us to facilitate that, we're laughing. We're stoked. We can't wait.
Absolutely. Is there any place people can find you guys? Any last thoughts, comments, questions, asks of our audience?
No, honestly, we're an open book. So if you need anything from us, please reach out. Perspective Training is Instagram and Facebook. If you want to personally reach me, which is usually easier just through LinkedIn, is Jordi Taylor. A lot of the content just gets mirrored across onto that platform, but it's just a bit more professional, I find, on LinkedIn, and easier to connect to someone one-on-one.
You can I'll be on Instagram usually. So just Performance Coach Sainsbury on Instagram. All spelt how it sounds, I reckon. So.
Thank you guys so much for doing this. Can't wait to work with you guys in the future.
Likewise, mate. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is mine. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, mate.
All right. Great conversation. Great guys. Great human beings. Jordi Taylor and Brendan. I'm going to mess up his name. Sainsbury. I think I got that. Notice I'm trying to pick apart. I'm trying to understand what are the commonalities here between these guys and girls? What are the similarities? Where does the success leave clues? And I'm just notice them. Pulling them out for you guys, so that can be valuable. That you guys can take, and that selfishly we and I can take. I'm learning an incredible amount every time I do these. And we do this every week. Here's Orphic Podcast Webinar Wednesday. Every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you guys want to be notified, you can go to our website, input your details. We've spoken to a whole bunch of amazing professionals, and we will continue to. at orphiceducation.com. All of these are on YouTube and on our Orphic Education YouTube and on all podcasting platforms. That is me, Alexander Emmanuel Sandalis. If you guys want to know more about me, you guys can look me up. Otherwise, if you guys want to know more about us, Orphic Education, if you are serious or know somebody who's serious about becoming a certified qualified personal trainer and coach, then we may be a good fit for you. If you do not want the quick fix, if you are not looking for the cheapest course, but you are looking for something that represents the values that we are communicating in these podcasts, then we may be a really good fit for you. We'd love to chat. You guys can contact us at our website and our social media. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week, where I'm talking to Paul Meldrum, a Sydney-based long-time coach and performance coach at Meldrum Performance. Look forward to speaking to that man again. I'll see you guys next week. Stay well, stay healthy, stay strong, and don't stop.